For most people, this piercing sound ringing throughout the New Wilmington air means very little. For Josh Huff, it can mean the sound of life or death. To put it simply, Huff is a volunteer firefighter. Many children grow up wanting to be just like Dad, and as soon as Huff turned 18, he got his own chance.
My dad's been a volunteer firefighter here at Wilmington for 27 years, so I always grew up around it. So when I turned 18, it was just natural to follow his footsteps and join up here.
Once Huff signed up, his training began. Normally, training involves a quick trip to Neshannock for some classes. Huff decided, however, to make his trip a little bit longer.
Once I joined here, shortly thereafter, I went in the Air Force, and I was a firefighter there, so I went through their firefighter school down in Texas. I was there for 4 months and got all kinds of training there.
The Air Force brought with it plenty of experience and a chance for Huff to not only serve his community as a firefighter, but also his country.
I got to get deployed one time, went over to Iraq, whole different culture, but it was nice over there, had a good time. Being a firefighter in the Air Force, not a whole lot of fires really. Most of the buildings were made of steel and concrete, so we didn't get a whole lot of real fires, but had a couple planes catch on fire from time to time. We had to put those out. It was a lot different than it is now being back home.
Following his tour of Iraq, Huff returned home to continue as a volunteer firefighter, where the fires come in all shapes and sizes and locations.
It was the miniature horse barn down on the outside of town near Orchard Road. The miniature horse barn caught on fire, and there was, I think, like 4 or 5 miniature horses caught inside, and it was the hay was burning and the manure was burning, and it didn't smell good, and it got stuck on your gear until you had to wash it like 2 or 3 times to get the smell out. That was my first fire. That was within about a month of me joining.
Huff says it's not necessarily the heat of the fire that scares you the most.
The biggest thing when people first go into a fire is they get scared because you can't see. The smoke is real thick and you can feel heat, but you can't see where it's coming from. You don't really know what's in front of you. So it just comes down to the training that you get, and trusting the people with you. Our chief's, he's got his head on his shoulders, and he knows more about fire than I could possibly imagine to learn at this age. So, it's just listen to him. He says, do this, you do it. That's all there was to it.
Huff trusts his chief with his life, and that's how it has to be. Trust is a word not taken lightly in the New Wilmington Volunteer Fire Department. Firefighting involves constantly putting one's own life in the hands of another.
I mean, you got to go with the guy in front of you or behind you. You got to expect that if anything happens, they can get you back out. You kind of just look at each other before you go in the fire and be like, okay, I got you, you got me. You give each other a little run over, make sure all their gear's on right and stuff like that. It just kind of shows like, all right, I'm not letting anything happen,
At the age of 24, Huff is one of the youngest volunteer firefighters in New Wilmington. Huff's young age brings with it a certain energy into the department that carries over even when the siren does go off.
First feeling is excitement. It's what's this one? What do I get to do? You just want to put your training to use. You just want to run forward and just go, head first into it. Just excitement, really.
Volunteering as a firefighter, however, means not only putting your life on the line, but also all of your free time as well.
Well, being a volunteer especially, you don't know when the next call is going to come in. I mean, it can be at 3 in the morning when you got to be at work at 6. So, you got to sacrifice, saying, okay, I'm going to lose 3 hours of sleep, but it's somebody else's house, and you'd like to think that they do the same thing for you, given the chance.
But even for someone as dedicated as Huff, this time commitment can be draining.
Yeah, right when you get off work and you're getting ready to sit down for dinner, you're hungry, pager goes off, it's, again, you got to sit there and think it's somebody else, but you're like, yeah, boy, really wish I could sit down and eat right now, but you just do what you got to do, And a lot of people have a problem with that time commitment. That's why right now we don't have a whole lot of volunteers with us right now. We've got about 30 guys that are active, if that, but not everybody shows up to every call. So, more volunteers we get, the more outcome we'd have, and it wouldn't be as bad if you missed a call for some reason, Maybe, I know sometimes if you're out on a date, trying to treat your special lady out, something special, and, that pager comes off, it's like, well, we got to leave the movie theater because, got a real call, got to go to it.
Huff's own special someone, Aubrey Branham, says her boyfriend's sacrifices for the department are not only inspirational, but gut-wrenching as well.
It's inspiring because he's really good at it and he's very passionate about it, but those calls make me very nervous. As soon as that call comes in, I hold my phone until he calls and says, I'm out, I'm okay.
But despite the stress, the time commitment, the lack of pay, and the little extra anxiety for his girlfriend, Huff says volunteering as a firefighter is well worth the risk.
It's a bit of a pain sometimes, but the rewards are worth it in the end. I've loved it for the last 5 years, man. I'll never, stop being a volunteer. For as long as I can do it, I'll do it. Whether it's actively going into fires or driving the trucks only or just sitting back and watching and making sure that people don't get hurt. I'll always be doing something with it for the rest of my life.
Anyone interested in becoming a volunteer firefighter is encouraged to attend their weekly meetings Tuesday evenings. I'm Scott Lawrence reporting for Titan Radio News.